Hey everyone, in today's video I'll be going over the best tank build you can use. This thing is ridiculous, blocking all types of damage extremely well while throwing a ton right back. Honestly, I think it could contend for one of the best builds you could possibly use. Don't forget to subscribe for more weekly content. I also have a Discord setup for anyone looking for more people to play with. The link to that and other Elden Ring related videos will be in the description down below. Alright guys, let's dive into the build, starting off with the main item that makes us an absolute tank, the Fingerprint Shield. Having the best stats for defense, not only for physical attacks, but also magic, holy, fire, and lightning. It's pretty much the all-in-one. For the Ash of War, there isn't anything that really stands out except for Shield Crash, with the bleed variation. You'll lose the invincibility from physical attacks to gain a really crazy special attack that not only does a lot of physical damage, but can also proc a blood loss really fast. We still have another way of making the shield even better. You can mess around with the damage negation stats by placing the regular, magic, or fire variation on it. Doing this will increase and decrease different damage stats. For example, if you use the magic variation, you'll be able to block magic and holy attacks much better. Or if you use the fire variation, you'll block fire and lightning attacks a lot better. And if you use the standard variation, you'll block all physical attacks completely. You can just change these really easily to adjust to the type of enemies or bosses you go up against. Personally, I would stick with the standard variation just because of how stupidly strong this is, blocking all physical attacks without draining any stamina at all. You can almost never be guard broken. But for this to happen, we will need a talisman, that being the GREATSHIELD. It increases our guard boost by a 1-to-1 ratio. Honestly, I'm not sure what that is, but all I know is nobody is getting past this shield with physical attacks while that talisman is equipped. So it's definitely a must-have. Now, with the weapon, we're using the lance. It's a great spear that scales decently well with strength, which we have a lot of points in so we can one-hand the shield, and also okay scaling in arcane. The best Ash of War to use with this setup is Seppuku. Your character stabs himself to place a bleed effect on your weapon for extra bleed buildup. We're also going to use the bleed variation to further increase this. So now the weapon does really good physical damage while being able to proc a blood loss in 1 to 2 attacks. It's just fully broken. Because we're able to proc a blood loss so fast and easily, I also use the Lord of Blood's Exultation Talisman. With this, we get a 20% damage increase whenever a blood loss procs near us. That includes when we use the Seppuku Ash of War on ourselves. If you want to further increase this damage, you can use the White Mask, which does the same thing but gives you a 10% damage increase. So with this setup, you become the unmovable object and the unstoppable force. You can even two-hand this for more damage. This also works extremely well for PvP, but don't take advantage of the shields blocking the entire time because it just becomes the most boring fight possible. Also, because we're going to be blocking hits and attacking at the same time, this is going to chew up a lot of stamina. So another talisman I use to help out with this is the Erdtree Favor. The talisman does 3 things that really help this build out. Increasing our stamina so we can stay in the fights longer, increasing our max health, which is just a nice little buff to have, and lastly, increasing our max equip load, which is really handy because the Great Spear and Shield weigh a ton. Next is the Flask of Wondrous Physic. With this, I'm using the GREENBURST crystal tier that increases our stamina recovery speed. So now we basically regain all of our stamina in 1 to 2 seconds. Having this activated, you won't have to step out of the fights at all if you time your blockings well enough. The second tier is more lenient. I like to use the DEXTERITY-KNOT that increases my dex by 10 levels. Since the lance also scales decently well with dex, it'll give us more damage being in the soft cap of the stat. Honestly, this tier isn't crazy important, so if there's one you really prefer to use, you can swap it out no problem. Before I get into how to use this setup to its fullest potential, I want to mention the last talisman you'll want to use. That being the Great Jar's Arsenal. It increases our max equip load by 19%, which again is going to come really handy using the heaviest shield in the game with a large weapon. And you'll probably want some nice armor to go with that. So now you can place less stats in endurance and relocate those somewhere where it's more needed. For how to maximize this setup, it's really simple. Just hold the block button and constantly attack at the same time. Just make sure you don't waste all of your stamina when attacking, or you can guard break yourself. Like, it's kind of funny when it happens cause, like, how do you guard break yourself? When you're playing with other people, try to stand in front of them so you can absorb attacks and protect your team to keep them alive longer. Also, don't be afraid to reapply seppuku to your weapon. It doesn't do that much damage to yourself. Another thing to keep in mind is when you see the boss isn't attacking you and kinda just walks around for a second or two, that's the time you want to lower your shield to increase your stamina recovery speed. So right when he's about to attack you, you'll be at full stamina, ready to block it all and dish out some damage. Honestly, this setup works amazing, especially when you have a team and you can tank the damage, distract the boss for them, and do good damage yourself. You get the best of both protection and damage. Now for the stat requirements. You'll need a minimum of 48 strength and 14 dex to hold both the shield and lance in one hand. Afterwards, I'd recommend putting points into arcane so you can increase your bleed buildup for extra damage. I'm also going to put links in the description down below for all the gear and items I'm using, if you want to check them out for yourself and where you can find them. That's everything for today's video. I'd like to give a big thanks to the members of my channel for supporting me on my videos and the future ones to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.